Well, hi there. Have you noticed that society has just come unhinged lately? Everybody's burning out at work. And there seems to be no equitable exchange. People just exist, and that there's no interaction with people because it's more stimulating to just doom scroll through your phone. There's no meaning in it. People are burning out. Who are retiring are finding out that they're not going to be able to have the quality of life that they wanted, and they're trying to stretch their money. Other people are just, you know, building online businesses, and they're also alone. Even in the same household, you have people that are together but yet alone. Well, I want to share with you this project, and this project is a permaculture project where we're restoring the desert and creating beyond organic food. This is a project of living off grid, of building all of the systems that support life. And this is a story that of my journey of gathering everything that works and then living it for over 10 years now in the desert. Um, First of all, let me tell you where I came from on this. I have 30 plus years of construction experience. I managed to get a project that was going to be like my retirement. Um, and it was a big, big project. And so I put everything into it. I dropped all of my existing business and I started building this project that was basically going to be 28 quadruplexes, each unit being a 2,400 square foot, 3 bedroom house, essentially. And this project was going very well. But then toward the end of it, the owner of the project had embezzled all the money out of it. So I am having framed in the last building and 50% finished on the next to the last building. I found out that there was no money to pay the bills. And so um, just like that, because I had forsaken all of my previous customers, I had no business and I had no credit lines anymore because everything I had was maxed out on this project. So I couldn't even do business. I was wiped out. And so I threw the business phone in the trash. I used all the money that I had to pay off all the people, the labor, and you know, I walked away. There was literally nothing I could do. I hadn't structured my life at the time properly, so I was personally liable. And so it was kind of like being a teenager, just starting life all over, being wiped out with nothing. And I had to find a way to go, but I was just burned out. I had worked so hard for so many years and put my identity in this society, this idea that had left over from the 80s that, I could, build an amazing life and do what I wanted to. But ultimately, every step of that journey was just pain. I hated working other jobs, so I started my own business. And then I still didn't love that I had to work for money. And so when all of this came to an end, um, I actually was just at a point of giving up. I mean, I was done. Like I just didn't even care if I lived or died. But I sort of did, So I took a year off. We sold our timeshares. We got rid of the company trucks. We downsized into a tiny little house, and then I lived a year without working a job, and it was amazing. Like at the end of that, I was blown away with what I had discovered. Um, and there were still money struggles because I still had, the money mindset. So I still had to go out and start struggling here and there for money. I started helping people, build alternative buildings from straw bales to earth ships to cob, and then I learned about aircrete building, and I started teaching alternative building to people. And then the interest kept coming in, so I started a workshop. And when doing these workshops, I discovered something I hadn't expected, something that I was missing from my life this whole time, and I didn't know I was missing. And it kind of echoes of like the idea of like Burning Man, where people go out into the desert and create a no government experimental life, and they live together for a little while, but in a more wholesome way. When people came together for these workshops, I found that, we spent all evening and all night and every morning and through the workshops just hanging out and visiting and sharing our experiences and forming community and helping one another and teaching one another. I mean, I learned as much during every workshop as I was teaching people. And it was beautiful. And it kind of leaves you thinking, man, it would be amazing if you could actually live this way. And so, you know, here I am 10 years later, just a few days ago, watching the sunset, listening to frog deserts, desert frogs, if you can believe that. I mean, like, first time I heard them, like, what? And crickets, and watching a gorgeous sky lit up with orange and teal and bursting with vibrant color. And I realized I haven't worked in 10 years. And this is amazing. And I would love to share this experience with people. In fact, I love the idea of creating community that was more permanent, and then sharing everything that I learned, going through everything that didn't work and my experience and the lessons I learned from other people. I wanted to create this as a way of life. And so I started looking at communities, and I realized that 90% of these communities fail. The ones I thought that were going to succeed, they just failed for a number of reasons I won't even get into. But so I learned what worked and what didn't work. I learned even from Paul Wheaton how communities where you gave people a discount or free stay, they didn't value it, and they wound up just wasting it and squandering it, and the community never coalesced. And then I learned the lessons from a community of witches who have been together for 40 years, a community who for over 30 years have been living in a permaculture suburb where people just bought in their houses and then paid someone to do the grounds work. And then in the process, they developed community. And the people who were paid to do the work in those communities, then they became full time permaculture millionaires. Millionaires in that they participated in everything in the community because they loved it and they got paid to be there. Um, and they never missed a meeting. They never missed an opportunity to help somebody. They became the heart and soul of those communities. And as that number grew, it struck a balance between those who just wanted to live, like, in the plug and play suburb community and have permaculture around them and be part of it, to stroll in the beauty, to just be part of it, and versus the people who are paid to work and participate in it. So you have kind of like a sub community that supports the actual community. So you have the movers and the shakers and the people who make the money, the people who get paid, who love the vision, who already want to do those things in their life. And those are the people who take the community car or truck to work. They got rid of their cell phone bill and they use the community's phone. They use the community's Wi-Fi. They eat the unlimited, beyond organic community food. They live in vibrant health, sharing, fireside stories and laughing and hugging and loving and crying together, being man and woman together. It was something that worked. And so from that, I realized, from all of my experience of the people who have been here and all the communities and places I've traveled, while not having a job, taking 6 months to explore South America, spending some time, walking in the redwood forest and dipping my feet in the ocean, from talking with people who have come here for communities, visiting people who are building communities, and seeing what works. I want to distill all of this down into something that creates an amazing space of real joy from the human heart, as opposed to this corporate dream of burnout where you wind up retiring without enough to truly live, to trying to find a way to downsize to actually exist, to giving your life to work, ultimately to just exist. I mean, to buy the right to existence, screw that. I'm done with it, and I found a way to do it, and that's what I want to build here. And I want to do it in a way that's communicative again. So the land has been put in a nonprofit trust, and ultimately we're going to have to fund this thing. And this is where you come in as a founder stay. So I don't want to do loans. I don't want to take investors. I want people to invest in one another and not make this yet another money project, but not just give it to people, because I found consistently through doing workshops and through other experiences that in our society, with the mindset where we're at in this sick ancient world of controlling, warring, thieving entities, the mindset is that if you don't pay money for it, it has no value, and you don't actually value it at all. And so The way that I see this working right now is that, we already have, like, this is one of two rooms we already have right now that we already rent out. And these were built by people who came to the workshops. So what I'm proposing is that you buy a founder stay per night. That's $300. We're still working on the price, but right now it stands at $300 per night or per day, per 24-hour period. And for that, you can come to this permaculture site. You can stay in a off-grid room with high-speed internet and air conditioning and the amenities you need to unplug and reset from the world. And we'll also be doing workshops. You can take a tour of the permaculture in the desert to share in the lessons we've learned, perhaps share something you've learned, to put your hands on the work, to build and create something meaningful that will become a private society of people who are creative and expressive, living in community, sharing the tears, the joys, the struggles, and the inspiration of building community and business together. So we're seeking people who maybe just want to retire at like a near zero budget and make their retirement really stretch. We're looking for people who want to build their own businesses and create value in the world, but want like minded people to be around to do that. So ultimately, we want people to understand the value for value exchange. And so, while right now, right here, you can go rent a room that has nothing in it but a room, and you're going to pay $230 a night just for a room. And and then what, right? We're not selling a room, we're selling a membership to a tribe. When you come here, me and my family and the other people here will be your tribe. We will share your experiences. We will sit by the fire and laugh and unplug and dream and solve all the problems of the world together. We will have connection and community. And to do this, ultimately, you can buy as many nights as you want. You can come down for a 3-month period if you just want to escape the winter and come down to where it's typically 50 to 70 degrees during the winter. Um, but you don't just get the one night, you get another night every single year for you to come and stay, and you can participate in the projects. And what you do here will become a legacy of meaning for other people or for yourselves, because the goal is to sell 1,080 nights of stays here. Now, what will we do with that money? We will not personally live on that money at all. What we're going to do is invest in infrastructure that's necessary. So immediately as the money comes in, we'll begin building more structures. Now, these are going to be more like a insulated cob structure, not like the ones you see all over the internet, but ones that actually function using my experience of combining insulation and thermal mass with the actual data from this climate, so you can live comfortably with minimal energy inputs. And that means minimal solar systems. So then using that money, we will build these and we will put in those little solar systems, and we will create standalone houses with everything you need to come and unplug, come and participate in these projects. And then alongside, as the money rises, the first major infrastructure project is to put in a 60 to 80,000 gallon rain storage tank on the property. Once the water's here, we're going to be able to put in housing for people to live here permanently. We're going to be able to build the greenhouse and food growing structures from the lessons we've learned of growing food here, what will actually work in this harsh environment. How, for example, we can't grow berries because of the hot, dry wind that always comes in at 100 plus degrees at exactly the wrong time. So those have to be behind walls. Other crops need to be grown in greenhouses. And for that, we need water. Now, you may ask, why can't you just drill a well? Well, well, deep subject, because there's no aquifer here, but we've learned how to harvest the water off the land. So with automated pumping stations going to a central rain storage tank, we can grow food that's beyond organic that works in this climate. So when you come and stay, you can eat a meal that's completely beyond organic, grown with JDOM, an adaptation of Korean natural farming. No fertilizers, no pesticides, no herbicides, no poison on that food whatsoever. Just mineral rich, healthy food that is so popping with flavor. You would think you've never eaten anything but rubber your whole life. And as that support system then comes in and the houses begin to be built, the founders will be able to become part of this community. The land will be held in trust. It can never be bought or sold or controlled by anyone. And the members will have equal voting on everything that goes on within this structure. But to complete this, we also need to build a maker space. That is a place with 3D printers and CNC machines and laser fabricators. Basically, a mini manufacturing facility where not only can the community create everything that the community needs so that we don't have to pay Evil Corp money, but we will create products that will sell out to the wider world to bring money in. Now, that money will have a percentage, say 10%, that will be set aside solely for community growth projects. The remainder will be divided equally among every single member. And so it's kind of like an owner operator situation. And everybody's going to be valued equally. I'm sorry, but everybody's of equal value. Whether you're the guy that's writing poems and playing music by the guitar for my and other people's hearts to enjoy, or if you're the guy that knows how to launch the UAVs to monitor the property, or if you're the farmer. Now, that makerspace will also provide an income to pay full-time employees. Now, this opens very unique opportunities because it gives someone who has a passion in their heart the ability to step out of being stuck on the treadmill of the corporate wheel of death, of soul death, and have a job and have shelter living right here. So those people will be able to step in and take the job of, for example, gardening, um, maybe teaching workshops, maybe cleaning the rooms of these founder stays that I'm asking you to participate in. And together we build this new identity, this new knit community of real souls living and working together. Now, will the whole community ultimately be people who um, only work and live here? I kind of would like that, honestly. And I'm leaning towards the idea of writing the charter so that the people who come are creators. They're people who have remote jobs. They're people who have retirement income. They're people who are self-starters who want to create businesses, who want to learn how to create businesses. So either through like a common contribution, like um, or through being an employee of the community. Ultimately, I think it would be pretty cool if the community literally just lived and worked here. We just have to work out how that works if you're building your own business, um, because we already have a community of very successful business people that come in occasionally and they love to work together, from Oracle database operators who maintain massive databases to people who write software, to people who build things, people who are in trades, and they're out there creating value. So ultimately, this will be a discussion for you guys who buy in and become one of the founding stay members. We will work out the charter together. And once the charter is solidified and the infrastructure of water, food, and power and income has been laid for this structure, we will then launch into the second phase, which will be permanent residency. Now, obviously, everybody who has at least a one night founder stay has the ability to become a permanent member of this community, as well as even an employee of the community. And ultimately, it's the first people that will be hired. There's going to be, like a full-time gardener, um, um, as well as perhaps people who are into healing arts like massages and somatic therapies, and people who could perhaps clean rooms. We'll definitely need someone to clean rooms as the founder stays come through. The rooms will need to be cleaned. We'll need somebody to do maintenance. Now, so these are the initial jobs, but ultimately we want to move into a space where we're creating these physical projects that sell product to the world, as well as digital products to sell to the world, and how someone who, for example, is a digital nomad, how would they fit into this life? Maybe you just rent the rooms. Maybe it's just simple as that. You just come and rent the rooms and you stay, but you get together with all of our other solopreneurs and digital entrepreneurs where you get to live together excitedly and supportively with like minded people who are doing the same thing, because there's just nothing like living in community with people who are doing what you are doing, who have the passions that you have, where everybody has a spark in their eyes instead of just like doom scrolling and not hearing anything out there in the world. This is about finding meaning and purpose and drive and transforming this desert that was destroyed by this corporate infrastructure, this corporate way of life. Corpse is the dead body, and that's what a corporation, a corpse, brings to the world. First of all, as an employee, it brings death to your soul, but as an extractive model, it brings death to the earth. So here there's real meaning in restoring the desert to a productive, beautiful, private space where you can grow as an individual and you can grow with a community. That's your tribe, it's your people, right? You're not alone anymore. And I guess I have to share the story too, why this is so meaningful. I'm gonna try to keep this as short as I can, but basically, the Mexicans, the Native Americans lived here peacefully on the land. It was a savanna, it was beautiful, it had lots of wildlife, it supported everybody. The Mexicans wanted to steal it from the Indians. They couldn't do it, so they put some white people in between them and the Indians who they had pissed off, and they promised those white people that you can have this land if you tame the land and you can become part of Mexico. So then they stole it from the Indians. Then Mexico tried to come back, remember the Alamo, and steal the land from the white people. And then the white people held it. And then they ultimately became the Republic of Texas, and then a member state of the United States of America. And then the United States of America took someone who already had far more than their own share, and they gave them 75 miles of land on either side of the railroad as payment for building the railroad. Well, they brought the railroad through, but then they had to fight and kick off and steal all of this land from the men and women who gave their blood and life to steal it from other people. So then the corporation owned it. The corporation of these wealthy people, the wealthy families, they then started grazing cows because there's grass here. And man, they pushed, if they could push one more cow on the land, no matter how destructive, for $25 more, that's what they did. The land became decimated. Drought came, which is a natural part of the cycles here. And then when it couldn't support cows, they brought in sheep. When there weren't enough weeds to support the sheep, they brought in goats and awdads. When it couldn't support the goats, then they sold it off to other people. So then you had other small ranchers who kind of, well, I say small ranchers, in that there's 1,200 miles of road on this ranch alone, sort of way. They came in and they would graze a few cows over this massive area, kind of keeping the thing going and eking out a living. And ultimately, when it couldn't support that, it got sold to ever normal people. And then when those normal people bought up some of it to then ranch people, to milk and bleed people for money as a yearly fee, then that kind of started dying. And now that comes to us. We're holders of a decimated land, but if you look at what we're doing, we're bringing the green back. We're actually restoring parts of savanna by stripping out the allelopathic plants right before the rains, loosening the soil, and then having strips of the original savanna come back. But in combination with that, we've learned how to make food off of the land, what will and won't grow on the land, how to grow that food, as well as how to live here, how to create structures that can keep you comfortable with minimal infrastructure. And that's kind of what it's like to be part of this vision. You're literally taking what was decimated by society, building a private society, and you're transforming the earth into an example that you wish existed, something beautiful, something meaningful, something in connection, something that has a hope of a better future. By building parallel systems of support, we replace the existing system. And little by little, as people do this, the system will just cease to exist because it's parasitical. It has to eat itself, it has to die because it's unnatural. And nature always finds a way to make things die and recycle them back into new life. And that's what we want to create. We want to create new life, new opportunity, new hope, new connection, a place where you're part of something, a place where life is meaningful. And from that, the possibilities are as endless as the creativity and the inspiration of the souls who come here. So we'll work this out together. And we're going to get started now with the Greening the Desert Terlingua project. And your founder stays where you buy one night and you get to come for the life of the project. As long as this project is going, you get to keep coming back and you get to participate or just come stay. So, with that, namaste and have a beautiful day. And please go ahead and click in, buy your founder stay. Come right now and begin to participate in this project because we want to return more value to you than you give. You know, for every $300 of money that you pay in, I would love to bring you $1,000 in value. You know, a threefold increase at least in value. And so, yeah, you know, come and stay, participate in one of our workshops, or while you're here, I'll be here to answer any questions you have about building what it is you want to build, or teaching you the things that maybe there's some gaps in your skill set or knowledge. We can fill that in to help you get where you want to go, whether you're part of this community or not. So let us multiply value nature's way, where one seed planted produces 300, 600, 900, 1,000 fold what was originally planted.